The G-Wagon was never supposed to be quiet, electric, or futuristic. It was built to be loud, brutal, and almost impossible to stop. But Mercedes has done something that would have sounded crazy just a few years ago. It turned the legendary G-Class into an electric off-road monster. And now, the next evolution could take that idea even further. We're talking instant torque, four-motor technology, serious off-road capability, and the kind of performance that could make traditional V8 SUVs look surprisingly old-fashioned. This is the 2028 Mercedes-Benz G-Class EV, and it could completely change what a G-Wagon is. This is the story behind the 2028 Mercedes-Benz G-Class EV. The G-Class has never been just another luxury SUV. Since its origins, it has built its reputation around a combination that is extremely difficult to replicate: military-inspired toughness, serious off-road ability, unmistakable styling, and Mercedes-Benz luxury. And now, electrification is forcing this icon into an entirely new era. The big question is simple. Can an electric G-Class still feel like a real G-Class? Because Mercedes has already shown that the answer can be yes. The current Mercedes-Benz G580 with EQ technology proves that the company isn't treating electrification as a simple engine swap. It retains the G-Class ladder frame architecture and LOW range off-road gearing, while using 4 individually controlled electric motors. Its 116 kilowatt-hour battery is integrated into the ladder frame, and Mercedes quotes up to 432 kilowatts of total output and up to 1,164 newton-meters of torque. That is already an extraordinary starting point. But when we look toward a future 2028 model, the real excitement comes from asking what Mercedes could do next. And visually, the answer probably isn't about throwing away everything that made the G-Class famous. In fact, the opposite may be true. The future G-Class is likely to remain unmistakably boxy, upright, and muscular because that shape is part of the vehicle's identity. The squared-off windshield, upright front fascia, prominent wheel arches, exposed-looking hinges, and tall stance are not simply styling tricks. They are what makes someone recognize a G-Class from across a parking lot. A future electric version can modernize those details without destroying the DNA. Expect sharper LED lighting, more advanced lighting signatures, cleaner aerodynamic surfaces, and potentially more sophisticated active aerodynamic elements. The front end could become more aerodynamic while still maintaining the upright, intimidating character that people expect from a G-Wagon. And then there are the wheels. A luxury electric SUV needs to look premium, but the G-Class has always needed to look ready for punishment. That means the best future design would have to balance massive wheels and sophisticated finishes with enough sidewall and durability to make sense away from the pavement. Because this isn't supposed to be an electric limousine wearing an off-road costume. It's supposed to be a G-Class. Step inside, and that's where the contrast becomes even more interesting. The future G-Class should be able to combine the rugged personality of an off-roader with the technology expected from a modern Mercedes-Benz flagship. Think high-resolution digital displays, advanced navigation, premium materials, configurable ambient lighting, intelligent voice controls, connected services, and increasingly sophisticated driver assistance systems. But Mercedes has to be careful here. The G-Class shouldn't become so digital that it loses its physical character. The ideal cabin would combine large, beautiful screens with physical controls for the functions drivers need while driving off-road. Because when you're climbing rocks, crossing mud, or descending a steep trail, you don't want to hunt through 5 menus just to change a driving mode. And that's where the electric G-Class becomes genuinely fascinating. Electric motors can deliver torque almost immediately. Instead of waiting for an engine to build power through a rev range, an electric motor can respond almost instantly to accelerator input. In the current G580, Mercedes takes that concept much further by using 4 individually controlled electric motors, allowing the system to manage each wheel independently. That architecture changes the way an off-road vehicle can behave. Imagine approaching a steep obstacle. One wheel starts losing traction. Instead of relying entirely on traditional mechanical systems, the vehicle can electronically manage torque delivery at individual wheels. The result can be incredibly precise control over traction. And Mercedes has already demonstrated that the electric G-Class isn't designed only for city streets. The current electric G-Class retains a ladder frame construction and low range, two details that matter enormously when the pavement disappears. That's important because one of the biggest criticisms surrounding electric off-road vehicles is simple. What happens when you actually use them like off-road vehicles? Battery weight, range, charging infrastructure, and heat management can all become serious concerns. A future 2028 model, therefore, doesn't just need more power. It needs smarter efficiency. It needs better thermal management. It needs improved battery energy density. And most importantly, it needs more usable range without compromising the rugged architecture that defines the G-Class. Mercedes has already positioned the current G580 with a 116 kilowatt-hour battery and a quoted WLTP range of up to 473 kilometers. For a future model, improvements in battery technology could potentially push efficiency and range further, but exact 2028 specifications should be treated as unconfirmed until Mercedes officially announces them. And that uncertainty actually makes the story more interesting. Because Mercedes doesn't need to reinvent the G-Class. It needs to perfect it. Imagine an electric G-Class that can travel farther between charges, recharge faster, deliver even more consistent performance, and still crawl through terrain that would make an ordinary luxury SUV nervous. That would be a very different kind of electric vehicle. It would be an EV designed around adventure rather than simply efficiency. And this is exactly where the competition becomes interesting. Range Rover has its luxury and off-road reputation. Land Rover Defender has decades of adventure credibility. Rivian has demonstrated that electric vehicles can be extremely capable off-road. And Mercedes has one advantage that none of those competitors can simply manufacture overnight. The G-Class has become a global cultural icon. You don't need to explain what a G-Wagon is. People already know. That gives Mercedes an enormous advantage as electrification moves deeper into the luxury SUV market. But it also creates a massive responsibility. If the electric G-Class becomes too soft, enthusiasts will complain. If it becomes too futuristic, traditional buyers may reject it. If it becomes too heavy, efficiency suffers. And if the range isn't good enough, long-distance adventure becomes more difficult. Mercedes therefore has to walk a very narrow line. The 2028 G-Class EV, if developed as an evolution of the current electric model, could represent one of the company's most important tests of how to electrify an iconic vehicle without destroying its identity. And then there is the question everyone wants answered. How fast will it be? The current G580 already has serious electric performance, but a future high-performance version could take the concept much further. Whether Mercedes eventually develops an AMG-focused electric G-Class with substantially higher output remains something we should treat as future possibility rather than confirmed specification. But just imagine it. A G-Class with instant electric torque, sophisticated individual wheel control, massive acceleration, and the ability to transition from a quiet luxury cruiser to a brutally capable off-road machine. That sounds almost contradictory. And that's exactly why it is so exciting. There is also the question of price. Nobody should expect the future electric G-Class to become a cheap EV. The G-Class has always occupied the premium end of the market, and the addition of a large battery, multiple electric motors, sophisticated electronics, and advanced off-road hardware is unlikely to change that positioning. The real question isn't whether it will be expensive. The question is whether Mercedes can make the technology feel worth the premium. And that brings us to the biggest question of all. Is an electric G-Class actually better than the gasoline-powered version? The answer depends entirely on what you want. If you love engine sound and traditional mechanical character, the electric G-Class won't replace that experience. But if you care about instant torque, precision, quietness, advanced traction control, and the ability to combine electric performance with genuine off-road capability, the EV begins to make an incredibly strong argument for itself. And perhaps that's the biggest story here. The electric G-Class isn't trying to convince the world that the G-Class should become something completely different. It's trying to prove that an icon can evolve without losing its soul. The boxy silhouette can remain. The ladder frame can remain. The off-road capability can remain. The luxury can remain.